Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Talat Naz, and today we are going to study a very interesting topic, lymphatic system and reticuloendothelial system. Learning objectives. By the end of this lecture, students should be able to explain lymphatic systems, lymph nodes, organs of the lymphatic system, and reticuloendothelial system. Lymphatic system is basically a drainage system of the body that remove the different particles, proteins, debris, dead materials and other substances from the interstitial spaces, and some of the important particles will re-enter into the bloodstream and other will be discarded. Introduction. The lymphatic system is a network of tissues and organs that keep the body free from toxins, waste, and other unwanted material. The primary function of a lymphatic system is to transport lymph, a fluid containing infection-fighting white blood cells throughout the body. Lymphatic system is an accessory system for the flow of fluid from the tissue space into the circulation. Lymph is a fluid which is obtained at the interstitial space between the cells. Lymph contains old debris of the dead tissue, protein molecules, and dead bacteria. In simple words, the lymphatic system is a network of tissues and organs that keep the body free from toxins, waste, and unwanted material. As well as lymphatic system obtain the interstitial fluid. Basically, it removes the extra fluid that is entered into the interstitial spaces and returned back to the circulatory system. It is quite similar to the circulatory system, like the blood vessels. There are some lymphatic vessels. So both the circulatory system and lymphatic system run side by side, and whenever there is a leakage of some substances from the circulatory system into the tissue spaces, this fluid will be removed with the help of lymphatic system. This is the pathway how the things happen. The cardiovascular system pump the blood through its system. Cardiovascular system pump blood through its system but cannot return all the fluid from the body cells. The lymph system pick up 60% of the fluid dropped off at the cellular level. It means that when the cardiovascular system pumps the blood to the tissues, from the arterial end, some material are leak out of the membrane, which has to be reabsorbed at the venous end of the capillary, but it cannot reabsorb because the size of the capillary is small. So it is picked up by the lymphatic system. The tissue fluid is then picked up by the lymph capillaries because their size is large and it can carry large particles as well as the liquid material. And this all material that is picked up by the lymphatic system is the lymph, and it is basically the tissue fluid. Its concentration is quite similar to the interstitial spaces, interstitial fluid. This picture gives you the basic idea how the lymphatic system is arranged side by side with the circulatory system. First of all, we will have a look on this picture. This is the heart and this is the arterial system and this is the venous system. So when heart pumps the blood, it will move up to the level of tissues. At the tissue level, what happened? When arterial blood comes here, with the high pressure of arterial blood, material, because we have to supply the oxygen, nutrients and other materials to the tissues, what will happen at this point? At this point, the material will leak out of the capillaries that has to be returned back at the venous point. But what happened? Uh, Almost 90% of the substances absorbed or returned back at the venous end, but about 10% is not returned back. Means a large size proteins if leak out of the capillaries, it will not enter again to the blood capillaries. So this material that is leaking out, you can see, is now uh, accumulate in the interstitial spaces because of the protein are negative in nature, their size. What will happen? There is a process of osmosis that attract the water in the tissue spaces because there are leakage of the proteins. For example, if there are some proteins over there, water will come, and what will happen? There will be a process of edema. There is accumulation of water because of the presence of the large molecules. So what the lymphatic system do? It is provided by the nature that this extra fluid which is accumulated in this part pressurized these vessels, which are the lymphatic vessels, to open, and then the fluid will enter into the lymphatic vessels. And lymphatic vessels has you can see has a special structure. You see, once there is a pressure over there, with the help of the pressure, the fluid will enter into the lymphatics, and then it will not move backward. So there is a folding of the or this is basically the overlapping of the endothelial cells at this part. So the fluid which enter into the endothelial system, in the for example, there is leakage of this is a tissue part, and if we enlarge this, there is a leakage of fluid that has to be removed with the help of lymphatic system. So fluid will enter into the lymphatic vessels, and that will uh, finally enter into the large veins and enter into the circulation again. This is how you see uh, uh, both the circulatory system, arterial and capillaries, veins, all these are uh, work side by side with the help of lymphatic system. Blood vessels are supplying the blood to the tissues. However, the extra amount that is leaked out of these vessels will be picked up by the lymphatic system, which then drain into the large veins. So I gave you the basic idea how it works. The basic idea, the basic important function is the tissue drainage. That I already tell you. Absorption in the small intestine. It in addition to the drainage in the tissues, it also absorbs the food particles from the small intestine, because some particles, fat droplets, are larger in size. They cannot enter into the blood capillaries. So first they have to enter into the lymphatic system, and then it will enter into the circulation to travel to the different parts of the body to supply the nutrients. And then it also play an important role in the immunity by removing the bacteria and the debris. If we go in detail, we see that the first function is to return the excess interstitial fluid to the blood. Now, for the detail of interstitial fluid, you must learn this interstitial fluid from the book. I hope you understand what is interstitial fluid. Uh, and then the second function of the lymphatic system is the absorption of the fats and soluble vitamins that I already tell you that is absorbed from the small intestine or digestive system, and the subsequent transport of these substance to the venous circulation, that is the lymphatic system absorbs the fats and fat-soluble substances from the digestive system and then enter into the venous circulation. In this way, the nutrients will enter into the circulatory system. And the third and probably the most well-known function of the lymphatic system is the defense. Defense against the invading microorganisms and diseases. And the components of lymphatic system. The lymphatic system consists of a fluid lymph, vessels that transport the lymph, that is lymphatic vessels, and organs that contain lymphoid tissues. So basically, lymphatic system is consisting of a liquid portion which is fluid, and the vascular system, that is lymphatic vessels, and the lymphatic nodes, organs that contain the lymphoid tissues. Now, first of all, the lymph. Lymph is a fluid that I already explained you, similar in the composition to the blood plasma. It is derived from the blood plasma as fluids pass through the capillary walls at the arterial end. As the interstitial fluid begin to accumulate, it is picked up and removed by tiny lymphatic vessels and returned to the blood. As soon as the interstitial fluid enter the lymphatic capillaries, it is called lymph. I already explained you how the fluid will enter from the interstitial spaces into the lymphatic system, and the fluid that is entered into the lymphatic vessels is known as lymph. However, the fluid which is present in the blood vessel is known as blood. So this is the difference. Returning the fluid Returning the fluid to the blood prevents the edema and help maintain the normal blood volume and pressure. So it is very important that the extra fluid that is leak out of the vessels and not picked up by the capillaries should be removed from the interstitial spaces so that it will prevent the edema formation, that is accumulation of water in that area, and to maintain the normal blood volume and blood pressure. The other part of the lymphatic system is lymphatic vessels. Lymphatic vessels has a very special structure. They carry fluid away from the tissues. Means the fluid will move only in one direction. The smallest lymphatic vessels are known as lymph capillaries. Like the blood capillaries, here is lymph capillaries. Lymph capillaries are found in all the regions of the body except bone marrow, central nervous system, and tissues, such as the epidermis that lack blood vessels. The microscopic lymph capillaries merge to form lymphatic vessels. Means the small lymphatic capillaries combine to form lymphatic vessels. There is no pump in the lymphatic system, like the heart and the cardiovascular system. So the pressure gradient, of course, we need some pressure difference so that lymph will move from one area to the other area in the lymph vessels. So the pressure gradient to move the lymph to the vessel come from the skeletal muscle action, means contraction of the skeletal muscle will pressurize the lymphatic vessels. And the respiratory movement, of course, the movement when we inhale and exhale, the lymphatic vessels around the respiratory system will be moving the lymph in the lymphatic vessels. So the lymph will move in the forward direction, as well as the contraction of smooth muscles. Sometimes the pressure, that is movement over arms or the body, or the pressure which is applied when we are sitting or like that. So this will create a pressure. There is no sorry um, lymphatic vessels I would like to tell you one more thing about the lymphatic vessel. Uh, Lymphatic vessels are not similar to the normal blood vessels or the capillaries. Their endothelial cells are arranged in such a way that is they are overlap in such a way that they have a flap-like structure which serve as a mini valve like in the heart. It will prevent the backflow of the lymph, means lymph can move only in the one direction, in the forward direction. So because of the presence of the valves in the lymphatic vessels, basically they are not actual valve like heart, but the arrangement of the endothelial cells are such that they will serve as the valves in the lymphatic vessels. The other part is the lymphatic organs that form the lymphatic system. Lymphatic organs are characterized by cluster of lymphocytes. Means lymphatic organs contain a huge amount of lymphocytes and other cells such as macrophages enmeshed in a framework of short branching connective fibers. So in simple way, you can say lymphatic organs contain lymphocytes and a larger molecules macrophages. Lymphocytes originate in the red bone marrow with other types of blood cells and are carried in the blood from the bone marrow into the lymphatic organs. Of course, they play a very important role in the defense system of the body. When the body is exposed to the microorganisms and other foreign substances, the lymphocytes proliferate within the lymphatic organs. That is, their number will be increased in the lymphatic organ and they are sent in the blood to the site of the invasion. Lymphatic organ, of course, as I tell you that this is participating in the defense system. This is a part of immune response that attempt to destroy invading agents, and the lymphatic organs basically broadly are the lymph nodes, tonsils, spleen, and thymus. Lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are small bean-shaped structures and they are present all over the lymphatic system at small distances. They are widely distributed throughout the body, means in the lymph nodes are present in all parts of the body along the lymphatic pathway, means the vessels are connected and time to time there are lymph nodes where they filter the lymph before it is returned to the blood. For example, if we see uh, for example, these are the afferent lymphatic vessels, means these are the lymphatic vessels, okay, that are collecting the lymph from the tissue fluid, and this fluid is entered into the lymph node. In the lymph node there is filtration of this lymph, and this is, for example, you can say there is a checking of the lymph, that is there any bacteria or other material that need to be destroyed or the removed. So there is a process of filtration, and then this lymph will further move to the efferent lymph vessels, which is the clean part of the fluid. Tonsils. Tonsils are the cluster of lymphatic tissues just under the mucous membrane that line the nose, mouth, and throat. Lymphocytes and macrophages in the tonsils provide protection against harmful substances and pathogens that may enter the body through the nose or the mouth. So basically, what we are studying right now is that we have lymph nodes, tonsils, spleen, and thymus. All these parts contain a huge quantity of neutrophils and macrophages that kill the bacterial materials, right, that work against the harmful substances and pathogens that can enter into the body or any dead cell. or the destruction of the RBCs, all these can be removed with the help of these parts, that is the lymphatic system. And then we have another organ of the lymphatic system is the spleen. A spleen has some important functions. It fight invading germs in the blood. A spleen contain infection fighting white blood cells. Means these are the white blood cells. Of course, it controls the level of blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. It filters the blood and remove any old or damaged red blood cells. Basically, spleen is playing very important role in removing the dead red blood cells. As you know that red blood cells have a life. Every cell has a lifespan, and then they will kill out, and they will uh, destroyed by the body system, degraded system. Body has a different hydrolysis system and different material that degrade its own cells after certain time. For example, the red blood cells are destroyed after 120 days. After 120 days, this has to be removed with the help of the spleen. The old dead RBCs is removed. Similarly, the other cells are also removed with the help of spleen. Thymus. Thymus is another organ of the lymphatic system. Thymus is a soft organ with two lobes that is located posterior to the sternum. The primary function of the thymus is the processing and maturation of a special lymphocytes called T lymphocytes, or simply we can see T cells. While in the thymus, the lymphocytes do not respond to pathogens and foreign agents. And this is how the things work. This is the circulatory system, normal circulatory system, that is the fluid will run into the blood run into the blood vessels, and then we have lymphatic system that run along with this system. Circulatory system, you see it is a huge system which contain the different lymphatic organs, lymph vessels, and lymph nodes. So all participate in the defense mechanism and the protective and drainage system of the lymph. And if we combine together, we see that this is the circulatory system, and there is a huge distribution of this lymph. These are the lymph nodes, and these are the lymph vessels. All are working together and forming a lymphatic system and helping removing the extra fluid from the interstitial fluid, so that there will be a protective role against the invading material, that is germs, and as well as the extra proteins that are leak out into the interstitium will enter into the lymphatic system, and then finally it will reach again to the venous system. So in this way the both system work together. Now come to quickly to the reticuloendothelial system, which is again also very important system and participate in the defense system. And all the way to the lymphatic nodes, we find out that there is a huge reticuloendothelial system. Reticuloendothelial system is an older term, but now this is known as mononuclear phagocyte system or monocyte macrophage system, and most endothelial cells are not macrophages. What does it mean? It means that macrophages are basically not present initially, but we have monocytes inside the blood vessels or the vessels, which are then when come out of the cell, when monocytes which are present, monocyte the type of the white blood cells, when come out of the blood vessel, they are converted to the macrophages. So this system is basically consisting of monocyte macrophage system, monocytes which are present inside the blood vessels, and monocytes come out of the blood to the tissue level, like into the nodes, lymphoid nodes. There is a huge quantity of macrophages and neutrophils. Both are responsible for the defense system. So neutrophils and monocytes are present in the blood vessels. So at the time when there is invading of the bacteria or foreign material, what they do, neutrophils come out of the blood vessels and attack on the bacterial material. However, monocytes also come out of the blood vessel, but they are immature. They have to convert to macrophages, which are present into the lymph nodes, and whenever there is attack, these macrophages will travel to the area of the bacteria with the help of chemotactic substance, chemotactic attraction, and the macrophages will travel towards the bacteria and kill them. It is a network of connective tissue fibers inhabited by phagocytic cells such as macrophages, ready to attack and ingest the microbes. Whenever you see that reticuloendothelial system is basically the system where in the connective tissue fibers there is a huge quantity. Basically, in simple words, the connective tissue fibers contain a huge quantity of phagocytic cells, that is the macrophages, and whenever there is a attack to the microorganisms, they will come out and fight against the microorganisms. Reticuloendothelial system is the essential component of the immune system. Basically, why we are talking about reticular system with the along with the lymphatic system. So the idea is that in the lymph nodes, there is huge quantity of these macrophages are present. That is, reticuloendothelial system and lymph nodes are working together basically, and because the macrophages or this system is basically present into the lymph nodes. Cellular components of reticular endothelial system. Monocytes. Okay, monocytes are present in the blood vessels. Remember, monocytes are present in the blood vessels. And then macrophages. Macrophages are located in all the tissues, such as the skin, liver, spleen, bone marrow, lymph nodes, and lungs. Endothelial cells, bone marrow, spleen, and lymph nodes. So basically, reticuloendothelial consists of monocytes, macrophages, and endothelial cells. General function of reticuloendothelial system. Phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means the engulfment, that is to eat the bacteria, dead cell, or foreign particles. Because the macrophages are larger in size, they can engulf the large particles, and engulfment is known as phagocytosis. And the other function is immune function and processing the antigen and antibody production, which is indirect process, but they participate in the immune function as well. Reticuloendothelial system breakdown of aging RBCs, that we have already discussed, that the aging RBCs or the destructed RBCs are removed with the help of the lymphatic system. As you know, the lymphatic system also contain the lymph nodes, where large quantity of macrophages are present and responsible to remove the dead cells. Storage and circulation of iron. It also contain, reticuloendothelial system contain a huge quantity of the iron. Macrophages often remain fixed to their organs. They filter and destroy the objects which are foreign to the body, such as bacteria and viruses. Some macrophages are mobile. They can group together to become one big phagocytic cell in order to ingest large foreign particles. Sometimes what happens, the macrophages are fixed, that is present in the particular area, that is lymph nodes, and they can filter and destroy. As I tell you how the lymph nodes are working. Lymph nodes are basically responsible to filter the lymph. So with the help of the macrophages over there, they can destroy the foreign substances. And sometimes the macrophages are mobile, that is moving here and there, and whenever they find out that there is some extra material coming in, for example a bacteria enter into the body, they will attack the bacteria and destroy it. Phagocytosis, the process is basically done with the help of the macrophages, and we will see how it will work. It can ingest, the one macrophage, it can ingest up to 100 bacteria, so it is too large. Ingest larger particles such as old RBCs, get rid of the waste product. I can tell you how the phagocytosis occur. First of all, for example, these are the bacteria. It enter into the body, and what will happen, this macrophage have some attraction, chemotactic attraction to the bacteria. Now this phagocyte, this is the whole cell, will travel towards the bacterial substance, right, and then it will form a phagosome, okay, vesicle or the phagosome, and then it entrap this bacteria. This entrapped circle is phagosome, or the vesicle is known as the phagosome. This is basically lysosome phagosome fusion. What happened? First of all, there is phagosome and lysosomes are present into the cell. So both combine and they form a secondary lysosome, which has both lysosome and phagosome. Where what will happen? This lysosomes, which has the ability, which has different enzymes, they all combine, means lysosomes, enzymes and phagosome, they all combine together and form a secondary lysosome, where there is destruction of the bacteria and bacterial debris will occur and enzymes will separate out, and this debris, that is the waste material of the bacteria, will be moved out of the cell with the process of exocytic vesicle. Similarly, as initially there is a formation of vesicle which engulf the material into the macrophage, now this will move out of the macrophage. So thank you so much. This is about the lymphatic system and monocyte macrophage system. I hope you like the topic, that how the lymphatic system, lymph nodes are working along with the reticuloendosystem, and provide you the defense system like the army and the navy and other forces in the country. These macrophages, monocyte system and lymphatic systems all are spread all over the body and protect you. Thank you so much.